to another virtual program here at the Hastings Public Library. This program is a combined teen and tween program, so we have Rachel here from the teens, and we are going to be dissecting some owl pellets today. So first, I want to give you some information about owls because I learned a lot. For instance, the owl that you are most likely to hear just outside is called the great horned owl, and they make just the general whoo sound. But the owls we are getting these pellets from today are barn owls. So they are the most common and they make a screech sound. So if you ever hear like a banshee-like scream in the night, it's probably a barn owl. So barn owls are the most popular owl. They live on every continent, and we are using them because they eat their prey whole. So we will have a whole skeleton in these pellets versus other owls will break their prey up. So we will have a whole skeleton to look at. And the reason that owls eat their prey whole is because they don't have any teeth to break down bones like a bobcat or a wolf could. They could grind it up and it would pass through the digestive tract and be fine. Owls don't have teeth and they don't have a great digestive tract, so everything needs to be regurgitated. That is not helpful to the owl. So things like bones, beaks, claws, those will be in these pellets. Now, hunting techniques for owls are really cool. You will maybe see an owl hunt, but you will never hear one because their body are so light and their feathers are so unique. Some of the bones in owls' bodies are hollow to make them lighter and to make them stronger. So I thought that was pretty cool. And also their eyes cannot move independently in their sockets, so they have to turn their whole head to look at something. And the last thing, 1 year study of one specific barn owl. This is how much it ate. It ate 1,407 mice, 143 rats, 7 bats, 5 rabbits, 375 house sparrows, 23 starlings, 54 other small birds, 2 lizards, 174 frogs, 25 moths, and 52 crickets. So that was one barn owl in 1 year, ate all of that. So there are lots of different things we could find inside these pellets. So we are going to go ahead and get started dissecting them. Okay, so we are going to start dissecting now. We also have a handy dandy little anatomy pulled out here that can tell us some bones if we see them. And we can already see mine has a bone sticking out of it. I believe it is a tail, but we will just see what it is connected to when we pop it open. So we are gonna head and get started. Gently taking off this tin foil.
And make sure if you're doing with a kit that you put your gloves on.
Yes. And they will be kind of hard, kind of crumbly, because it's all the hard stuff that the owls couldn't digest.
Ooh, I found a
mine
bone.
has a whole tail sticking out of it.
Oh, ew.
And we have these little tweezers and these little picks that you can kind of just pull apart. So the outside is all the fur and the feathers and things that weren't digestible. They cover it to make it a little easier to regurgitate. And then the further in we dig, the more likely we are to find bones. So I have one right here.
I think mine is feathers.
So that's a pretty good sized bone. It's probably a leg bone. We've got some littler ones that might be like ribs. But as you just pull it apart, you'll get these little pieces. I'll try and get this tail. So this is how scientists help determine what species are in the area, because barn owls have a pretty comparable diet across all the continents. So if we notice one is running out of a certain type of food in one area, it's probably comparable to a different continent.
Ah. Something crunched. Those are really tiny bones. Really small.
So if they eat something that doesn't have fur or feathers, like you were saying that one ate frogs and lizards, how does the pellet hold together?
Yeah, what does that pellet look like?
It would probably eat something else afterwards.
Oh, okay.
But most of frogs and lizards are digestible for an owl. Oh, and we've got a pretty cool, it's like a tibula fibula here on a mole maybe, or a mouse. That's pretty cool.
Ooh, I think I have some claws here. Or teeth.
There we go.
I think it's teeth,
Ooh, teeth.
I think, because this looks like a skull.
So this is definitely a tail. You can see all the individual little vertebrates on it. That is really cool to me.
It's really
So
cool.
all of these little pieces of bone are connected by like cartilage and tissue, and it makes a tail. So that is really cool, a whole tail.
Oh, there's some teeth of something
Oh yeah,
coming through.
That's a
I think
good.
I've got a skull in my hands. You can kind of see that there. I think I was crunching the skull when I was using the pokey thing.
Oh, here we are. I've got some teeth too. So that is obviously not a bird. That's got to be a mole or a vole. Those back teeth. So from the bones I'm seeing, it looks like my owl just ate one large mole or mouse or something. And so I've got almost all the pieces to this.
Oops.
And you can see this outer stuff is fluffy and it kind of falls apart because it's just hair. Got another bone there. This looks like a claw. And you can use these ones to kind of just poke and break it up a little bit. There we go. Another claw, it looks like.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ah, I keep dropping you. Look at that. That's his little nose and teeth.
Yeah, that's a really good skull there.
Chunk.
Oh, yeah.
Here. You can see its little front teeth and nose. Yeah. Oh, here's a jaw. Here's the bottom jaw.
Oh yeah.
There we go. I think mine is it. Yeah, mine's probably a mouse or a vole. Oh, there's the other part of the jaw. It's crazy how intact their teeth are.
Yeah. Yeah, so anything that the owl cannot digest or is not helpful for its nutrition, it'll just get compacted back into this pellet and regurgitated, and it really doesn't affect the bones at all, as you can see. We have a whole intact tail, we've got part of an intact skull.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Taylor. That hit ya. Little piece of a jaw. Look at that. A little bit. Whoops. What have you found, Kelly?
I've got most of a skull here, and then got these two little smaller pieces down here, the bottom jaw, I think, with its little teeth. So yeah, mine must be a vole or something also, a mouse or a vole. But you can see it's pretty well preserved skull. You can see its eye sockets, and it's kind of cool.
Well, I guess, like, looking at what they ate, 1,407 mice, we can assume that most of these are mice or voles, little
That's
rodents.
probably true. I have a lot of little tiny bones too that might be, I don't know, ribs maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of guessing.
How am I allergic to a dead mouse, you guys? I'm gonna sneeze.
To be fair, there's a lot of fur in there.
That's
Mhm.
good piece.
Trying to make like a fur pile on one side over here.
I feel like an archaeologist.
Right? It's interesting that you said that it could be more than one animal in one pellet, because like they could be combined.
Yeah, so they could have eaten like a really, really small mouse and then also ate like a mole, and so we would get small bones and big bones, or a bird and a small mouse. But
Yeah.
it looks like these guys just ate one critter each.
Ooh, here's a long bone. A leg maybe.
So then once we have everything kind of pulled out, we can start to compare them to our chart here. Like I said, I know this is a tail. This is probably the tibia fibula because it kind of looks the same. It's got that hole in the middle there. And then of course we've got some claws, and we've got skull with teeth.
I know you got through yours really quickly.
I think I just found a hip bone.
Oh.
Something small over here. Yours more adventurous. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this so slowly.
I don't want to break the bones. They're so little and fragile.
Mm-hmm.
What's this?
So I just encourage you to go through it and gently pull apart all the pieces. I think I've gotten all the biggish bones out of here. Of course, mice are small, so there's always going to be very small pieces. But here we can kind of look and piece together a little bit of what this animal was. It had a bigger jaw and a long tail and some really sharp claws. So I'm thinking it might have been more like a rat instead of a mouse. But it looks like that's all I have in here. So we cannot know for sure, but we definitely have some really cool bones to look at and to compare with the different animal options it could be. And all three of our pellets were very varied. We got all kinds of cool looking things. Even like mine's lighter color than both of yours.
Oh, that's true.
So I wonder if that means mine's older.
I don't
Or
know.
maybe whatever age just had lighter colored fur.
Yeah.
Ooh, got some little vertebrae.
There's another one.
Oh, they're so
Little
tiny.
tiny bones.
That's a vertebrae. Ooh,
Yeah, it kind of looks like it.
teensy.
Oh, there's some more. Oh wow, look how tiny this little bone is. It kind of looks like a humerus.
Yeah.
Little itty bitty tiny humerus.
So I should know this, but when you were saying that one looked like a tibia or a fibula, those are leg bones, right?
Yes. That's the bottom part of your leg. So I think like this is a femur to this one, kind of. Like that's kind of how the leg would work. We'd have a stronger, thicker femur bone on top of the tibia fibula bone. So that would be like a leg, and there'd be a little foot there. And And then we've got our little claws down here that would be on the toes. So we can kind of piece together what the animal looked like, how the bones connect to each other, and make a guess at what this owl was eating. So just explore, don't be afraid to get a little messy. These don't smell like you think they would. They really, I haven't noticed a bad smell. So it's mostly just keeping the fur contained, and then you can just slowly work away at it and find your bones.
That's a rib, I think. So this huge chunk I haven't. Look how much fur was on this animal.
Yeah, yours is a very hairy.
Super hairy animal. Now, like, especially looking at how little hair your guys' had.
Mine was smaller than yours. Both of yours do, I think. Yeah. This is gross but cool.
Yeah, just picture me in 6th grade doing this.
Cute. I think I found another skull.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Yeah, that's teeth.
I have found a large piece of vertebrae, which leads me to believe it was towards the top of our animal, the head area. And I can tell it's a vertebra because there's a hole that goes through the middle, and that is where the spinal cord would have been. So we can see this piece here would connect to another vertebra and allow the animal to move its head and support its body. There we go. So this will look almost identical to what the vertebra in your body looks like. They're all kind of basically built the same way. They've got some spikes on the back, and they kind of interlock with each other, almost like a puzzle. And so they'll just stack up, and there's cartilage in between them, and it just forms your spine. So that is a pretty big one, which confirms my theory. I think mine was a rat. My bones are bigger than...
Yeah, your bones are huge.
I think I found part of a second skull.
Oh.
So that makes me
Look at
think
that
it
one.
must have eaten two things. One of them is much smaller than the other one.
Yes.
It's also partially broken, but maybe ate a small mouse in a bigger bowl or something.
Yeah.
I don't know which one was bigger, but
I think the skull, this top portion, is almost completely intact. You can see their little eye holes.
skull. Oh yeah, definitely more skull.
Yeah. Cool. Those are some big claws, though. Those
I think
almost
they're
look...
jaw
Oh,
teeth
yeah.
things, and then no, that looks like part of a jaw tooth. It's got a little serrated bit like a tooth. compared to how tiny the rest of my bones are, I think that's probably gotta be.
Yeah, it's gotta be
Teeth.
that bottom jaw, yeah.
Just want to get the rest of this fur off of him without breaking it.
Yeah, some of these bones are so tiny, they're easy to break.
You kind of have to have like a firm and gentle hand at the same time, because some of it is like really stuck in there.
Okay, here's another cool bone piece. This looks to be like some sort of socket. So like where your arm connects to your shoulder, that's a socket, or your hip is also a socket joint. So we can see another bone would kind of fit into that hole there. That is pretty cool.
Look at all the fur. Good gracious.
Crunching sound is
Ah.
concerning.
Kind of had to wiggle this bottom jaw piece free. The jaw piece. Here's the other part of the jaw. These were all like almost intact with the fur, but here's another jaw piece. There's my skull coming together here. That is crazy.
Yeah, all your bones are much bigger than mine. I have so many little teeny tiny ones.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy. Here we go. You can see where his eyes were. And there's his jaw. Oh, here's like a tib fib. That's crazy.
Alright, so you never know what you're gonna find in these things, but we've got our cool charts here that you can compare. It's pretty interesting to see the differences between the three of ours, but just go out there, don't be afraid to dig in, and have fun. And we'll see ya. Thanks.